President Trump rolling back Biden-era fuel economy standards. Phil LeBeau joins us now with Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy. Phil.
Mr. Secretary, thanks for having us here in the office.
Welcome to
DOT. Let's talk about the announcement yesterday. A dramatic cut in terms of fuel economy, miles per gallon.
They told you cars got more expensive because of inflation, supply chains. Well, they pretty much lied, because what if I told you cars got expensive because the government rigged the math to force you into an electric vehicle? Now, for years, we've been told it was just, supply chains, inflation, now it's tariffs, now it's all shortages, all this other nonsense. But Sean Duffy, the new Transportation Secretary, just went on national TV and confirmed exactly what the channel's been saying for the past few years. The previous administration was not just setting high standards, they were making gas engines impossible to build, which jacked up the prices even further, and that allowed electric vehicles to seem like they are more affordable now all of a sudden. But today we're going to break down Duffy's new rollback of these CAFE standards, what it actually means for the price of cars that you want, and why you might finally be able to buy those Japanese little mini cars, those mini trucks, and even station wagons legally in the United States.
I think by 2031, the current standard under the Biden administration, 51 miles per gallon. You guys are saying, nope, 34 and a half. That's almost a 40% cut by 2031. Critics are looking at this and saying, why not just do it a little more gradually? And why did you go too far?
Well, so no, the last administration went too far. So the law was very clear. This is about combustion engines. And so the Biden-Buttigieg administration, they calculated EVs, they calculated hybrids in the calculus. And so they gave you a standard that a combustion engine could never meet. And so we brought it back to what the law actually says we should do, looking at combustion engines, making slow, gradual increases in efficiency. The problem was, as you had the car makers, they were investing billions in technology to try to meet a standard that was never attainable. So it was driving up the cost of a car. And then if they didn't meet the standard, they had to buy carbon credits or efficiency credits. The big, beautiful bill took those away. But this is real savings for the American family, bringing down the cost of a car. And I think bringing more freedom and choice to the consumers, because car companies are going to make cars that the consumers want to buy.
Now let's look at how they rigged the game, my over 54,000 friends and the 56% of you guys who haven't subscribed yet. Under the Biden-Buttigieg rules of the last administration, they basically set fuel economy targets that look great on paper, 51 miles per gallon by 2031. But no gas engine can hit that average on its own. I mean, you got to think about all this stuff they keep adding these vehicles. They're getting heavier and heavier and heavier. You got to think that fuel economy is going to suffer when you add in all this standard baked in technology. And Secretary Duffy basically exposed exactly how they did it. They were counting EVs and hybrids in the corporate average. They set a standard that a combustion engine on its own could never meet, forcing automakers to build electric vehicles just to balance out the math. Now, if Dodge wants to sell you a Hemi, they had to basically sell either a bunch of electric vehicles to basically offset those fines, or they would have to go and buy a massive amount of carbon credits in order to avoid getting fined. That is why we lost the V8 and Stellantis released their worst selling vehicles ever in literally the shortest time span that I can think of, right? You had the Hornet, a dud. The Charger Daytona was software issues. You had the Jeep Wrangler S, software issues. And then you had the Ram Rev, the original version was a full electric 500-mile range Ram truck. That got canceled before it even got a chance to get released. Now, Secretary Duffy's new rule, he wants to go back to what the law actually says, and the law says combustion engines, not combustion engines with hybrid assist, not electric vehicles, just combustion engines. So the new target is going to look at what a gasoline engine can actually do, not what a battery can do.
The cynic will look at this and say, yes, the automakers will save about $109 billion. That's your guys' estimate. And that's fantastic for the automakers. Comes out to about $1,000 per car, theoretically, that should be saved for consumers. You and I both know it's tough to say prices will go down. Do you honestly believe that the auto industry will lower their prices?
Listen, the auto industry is very competitive, right? We see that. We see offers all the time, whether it's on interest rates or on incentives to buy. So yeah, listen, this is market driven. And so yeah, lower prices mean more sales. And by the way, if we bring prices down and we get newer cars on American roads, newer cars are way safer. We save lives with these new cars, which is fantastic. So no, and also I think if you're building a car, developing a car that Joe Biden or Pete Buttigieg wanted you to build, that's different than market demand. I want the market to decide what kind of EV I should offer. What kind of vehicles do the American consumers want to buy?
So how does this help your wallet? When automakers are not chasing ghost MPG targets and all these emission nonsense targets that one state is trying to dictate, they have to spend billions of dollars in technology that's going to drive up the cost of vehicles. And if they don't do it, then they're going to get fined. Now, Secretary Duffy estimates that the industry is going to save $109 billion with this rollback. That estimate gives about a savings of only $1,000 per car. Now, I know what you're thinking. I mean, this right here, $1,000 per car, that is ridiculous. But trust me when I tell you, we've already started seeing certain models go down way more than that. I've already given you an example of other videos of how a Wrangler 392, for 1 year, it was $100,000 and it went down to $80,000. A Durango Hellcat was $100,000 a year or two ago. The next thing you know, now $79,000 out the door. And then I know you'd also thinking of too, well, butter, dealers aren't going to lower the prices just because their costs went down as well too. And like I said, they ain't gonna do that. $1,000 ain't nothing. Trust me, I get it. But look what happens when the pressure releases. Because I've already given you an example of some prices going down, but we as consumers, we're not stupid. When these companies aren't paying massive carbon credit fines or having to buy all these emissions credits, all this other nonsense, they have room to maneuver, and dealers are going to have to drop prices as well too, or they won't have vehicles that will sell. If Ford and GM don't have to, bake this corporate tax nonsense into the price of the F-150 to pay for the EV truck losses and stuff, that truck, the F-150, is going to get cheaper to build. And in this market that is this competitive, lower cost is going to always win. And I'm telling you right now, if they don't lower their prices, they're going to get basically knocked out from some of these other foreign companies that are going to come in with cheaper prices and stuff, and they're going to fail to sell. I mean, Ram's going to have to drop their prices. I'm sorry, but I got to say that. Ram's going to probably be the 4th or 5th best-selling full-size truck in America if they still do not drop prices even further. So I'm just saying.
This rule will actually allow you to bring back the 1970s station wagon. Maybe a little wood paneling on the side, Phil. We can bring back choice to consumers. So yeah, the minivan's awesome, but maybe the station wagon is cool too.
But the average price paid for a new vehicle right now, just under $50,000.
Right, gone up.
Do you expect that to truly come down, let's say by $1,000, $2,000?
Well, I know it's not going to go up by $1,000 or $2,000, right? I'm hopeful they come down. But if you look at the auto market, yeah, number one, big beautiful bill says you can write off your interest payments. That's a great benefit for the consumer. Donald Trump, what he's done with American energy dominance, bringing down fuel prices. I was just in Wisconsin yesterday. A gallon of gas was $2.45 a gallon.
National average is under $3 now.
It's remarkable. And so, again, we're making small wins for the American consumer. The other administration was making small wins or small failures for the American consumer. So don't you want us to go in the right direction? Hey, listen, if I'm going to buy a car, is $1,000 meaningful to me? Hell yes, it's meaningful. So let's not say that the $109 billion and $1,000 per car for the consumer isn't a big deal. I'm happy with that. Well, let's go further, but this is a great start.
Now I'm going to tell you now, $1,000 off per car, that is not a celebration. That's something that a dealer would give you to sweeten the deal, to take $1,000 off on a car. If you're going to tell me you're going to get rid of compliance fines, car fines, and then save them $100-something billion, well, they need to go ahead and drop the prices of performance cars at bare minimum $10,000 across the board, because the cars that had the worst MPG got taxed the worst in their calculations and stuff, right? I mean, it is crazy to think the price of some of these performance cars. I've already showed you how, like a TRX, for example, it went from 2021 $69,000 to 2024. 2024, it went to $96,000. It literally, they swapped the damn They literally swapped the numbers around and added all that cost to a TRX that had literally zero updates other than a cheaper Uconnect system and a digital dash, and that was it, right? That was like over $20-some thousand of changes and updates and all that crap to a TRX. So you can miss me the whole $1,000 off. Bare minimum $10,000 every car that's probably over $50,000. That right there should be like a mandatory stop gate right there that need to happen. So I'm not definitely happy about the $1,000. I think it's a scam. But these automakers, like I said, you see Stellantis, they already dropped the price of the Wrangler 302 by 20 grand. I'm pretty sure the Ram's going to drop the TRX by 20 grand as well too, because that's not going to sell if the RHO is literally the exact same vehicle as a TRX and the only change to it is just the engine and transmission. I showed you guys other videos. The engine and transmission for a TRX is not that much more expensive than the RHOs. It's within maybe like $5,000-$10,000. So if the TRX come back at $90-some thousand, Ram's in trouble because no one's going to buy it. No one's going to buy it. So I'm just saying.
Mr. Secretary, I spoke to Mary Barra, CEO of GM, yesterday, and I wanted to show you a clip from that conversation and get your reaction to it, because I think this is something that is confronting CEOs of all stripes in all sorts of industries, but particularly, obviously, in the auto industry. Take a look at what she had to say.
If you look at what the policies are of each administration, we can't be blind to those. We have to make the investments to get to where the regulatory environment they set. We've seen a complete change in that, one way, in 180 degrees one way, 180 degrees back. That's the world CEOs of automakers are living in.
And Mr. Secretary, the question is, how do folks like Mary Barra avoid that? Which is to say, she was, all in on EVs, then she's slowing that down. I mean, and it's really been quite dependent on who's in office, and people are making these bets, effectively these investments that really should be much longer term than 4 or 8 or 10 years.
It's a great question. So you see there's a ping pong, Andrew, right? We're going from a Democrat administration, Republican administration, policies are changing, and it's hard if you're GM or you're Ford or Stellantis. Huge problem. However, I think my job is to say, well, what does the law say? And the law says you can't take into the calculus EVs. You can't take hybrids into the calculus when you're going to set a fuel efficiency standard, which is what Biden and Buttigieg did. So let's follow the law. Let's set a reasonable standard, which is what we've done. And I think Mary would tell you, listen, if America wants to buy EV cars, GM is going to make EV cars and Americans are going to buy them. What she did find, though, was that that's not what Americans want. They actually want to buy a different kind of car than Joe Biden wanted them to buy. So Donald Trump has said, let's bring freedom back. Let's let the consumer choose what vehicle works for them. And again, if you live in a city, an EV is great. But if you live in northern Wisconsin, where I come from, they don't work. It's cold and it's rural. So let me choose the vehicle that works for me. And by the way, at the same time, if I can bring the price of that vehicle down, the American consumer is a winner. And so President Trump has, and I hear him talk about it publicly, and I hear him talk about it privately, he cares about how with the affordability for the American consumer. And he gets frustrated when we saw the inflation of the last administration, the price increases because of, say, fuel economy standards. There was no affordability. And he's actually working to make these products more affordable for the American consumer, going so far, and I was just telling Phil this, with energy dominance and bringing gas prices down as well.
So I just want to add this one point, that what is the point of having all these automotive lobbies? You got dealer lobbies, got all these lobbying forces, and none of these guys are going to work and stop these politicians from changing all these regulations so dramatically, right? All these lobbies, they're talking about the auto lobbies, one of the most powerful lobbies in the world, but they couldn't stop the administration from going through and pushing all this electric vehicle nonsense, right? So I'm just gonna say, what's the point of having these lobbies if they're not really doing anything? Because that was a ton of money all these automakers spent, 4 or 5 years ago. They was all bending over backwards for real. 20 billion here, 50 billion there, 100 billion there. They was all investing in all the electric vehicle nonsense and all the vehicles that these legacy automakers make. I don't think there's really one electric vehicle that any of them made that's really good, like really up to their standards. Like all of them have a ton of problems. Like even when the Hummer EV first came out, you guys seen like a couple of YouTubers, like I think like Stratman, a couple other people, they get stuck in those damn vehicles. You've already seen videos with people who have chartered Daytonas getting stuck in those daggone things. I mean, I'm not even gonna talk about the Ford Lightning and Hoover's garage in that particular vehicle single-handedly by himself. So these automakers, I mean, you should have pushed back and not invest so much money into this electric vehicle nonsense and lean on your lobbies and say, look, y'all need to stop this nonsense. But something like that affects so many people, that right there should be an actual vote that the actual people actually vote for. I still don't understand. We still got this antiquated system that we can go on like American Idol and everyone in the country can vote for their next top model and all this other crap, but we can't vote for actual laws. Like, it's really just crazy how we can't do that in this day and age to actually get, you know, actual people to vote for certain laws and not a group of people who can get influenced by lobby groups and this other nonsense of pushing electric vehicles. But that's just all I wanted to add to this part here. Roll the clip.
Clearly, this should help bring and make cars more affordable in the short term right now. There's a longer term question about a world in which China is able to make EVs at materially cheaper prices than ours, in large part because they are subsidized too, and what that ultimately means globally for American automakers, whether if they're not investing in the same way in EVs for all sorts of reasons, whether 10 years from now we're going to look and say our automakers are living in a regional or domestic market.
But is that my job at DOT or Donald Trump's job to force GM or Ford to invest in EVs? It's their job to look at the market and global demands. And if they see global demands for EVs are real, they should make those investments. But let's not force them to build cars that Americans don't want to buy in this country. We're not going to do that. And again, I think China loves the EV push because they control 90% of critical minerals. They have a corner on the market. Every car that's going to be sold is going to have Chinese parts in it and Chinese processed critical minerals in those cars. Listen, we have a lot of oil and gas here. We have so again, I think we should be responsive to global markets, but also to the American markets as well. And again, China wants this because China has a corner on critical minerals.
So I'll just add this one point to this. I do not care about China's market. I don't care about their market, Australia, Brazil, Europe, even, I don't even care about Atlantis. I don't care who's driving what. I only care about what I'm driving. Like, if you're going to try to influence what I drive because somebody else in another country, stop it. It's not going to end well. We over here in America, our country is way different from other countries over there, and we enjoy our freedoms a lot more. So don't remove my freedom of choice just because somebody in China is building electric vehicles. So I'm just saying.
President says, you know, I saw these microcars over in Asia. Why don't we have these here? We can't build them here in the U.S. I think we're not going to get into the technical parts of this, but there are reasons why we don't see those vehicles here in the U.S. Will you change the rules so that microcars can be built and they can be driven on highways? Right now, they're restricted by speed limits and safety features. Will you change that?
He called me after the meeting actually and said, let's change the rules. And so I work with the NHTSA. We're in the process, clearing the deck. So listen, if there's a market for those vehicles, I want to give our manufacturers the opportunity to build those cars. And so we are at NHTSA going to clear the deck, clear the rules, and let them build those small cars. And again, are they going to work on the freeways? Probably not. But again, vehicles that work in cities, and if that's where you drive, it could be a great solution for you. And by the way, much more affordable than other options that are on the market today.
So I don't get why this interviewer is crying and complaining about these little small little K cars that I covered in the previous video. Well, there's a reason why they're not here. I'm like, dude, there's a reason why there are certain vehicles that's, let's say, street driven in the United States that's not allowed on highways. I mean, this dude has heard of mopeds before, right? This dude does realize that some golf carts in certain cities can be driven on public roads, not highways. There are some side-by-sides that are able to be driven on public roads, not highways. So this is literally the exact same thing. So this dude just doesn't make any sense. He's gonna complain in the beginning about, vehicle prices might not come down and stuff, but then cry and complain about, they might introduce cheaper cars to the market to bring down that average vehicle price down. I mean, that's gonna be one of the most dramatic ways to cut the average cost of vehicles down dramatically. Because if people can go buy these $10,000, $15,000 cars, that's a hell of a lot better than an $80,000 EV that somebody who lives like downtown or somebody needs to go run to the store real quick They don't got to buy like a $60,000 to $80,000 electric vehicle to go do that task. These little $10,000, $15,000 cars, that might work for people, right? I mean, they might be able to plug them in. Some of them be EVs, some of them being little tiny little gas engine stuff. So I'm just saying, man, let's get back into it.
Autonomous vehicles.
Yeah.
Waymo is expanding into more cities where they're going to start testing out their vehicles. They're already operational in 3 cities. Elon Musk has designs to do it as well. Would you like to see even more autonomous vehicles out on the road?
I would, but what I want is to say again, this technology is coming. I want this to be American technology. I don't want to have rules in place that take the innovation that could happen in America and send it somewhere else. I want the innovation and the jobs to be here in America, so I want to have the right rules. I call it my Goldilocks my theories of I don't want to go too fast on the regulatory front, right, where we have bad things happen. I don't want to go too slow where I lose the innovation. I have to get it just right. And we're trying to have the right pacing to make sure that this can develop here in America. What I don't want is to shut the industry down, have it be developed in China, and then all of a sudden we have Chinese autonomous technology coming to America, which is a national security issue as well. So listen, it's coming. Let's make sure it's American technology.
Now, I don't know about you, but just for me, my own personal opinion, I'd rather have technology based in America that was built by Americans for Americans. I don't really like technology, especially in these vehicles built from people from other countries. I mean, we've already seen with Stellantis, I gotta say, we saw with Stellantis how Carlos Tavares, he fired pretty much a majority of engineers from America and hired them from like Brazil, Morocco, India and stuff. And you've seen how, let's just say, the quality of some of their vehicles, especially software wise, went down in the toilet. So I'm just saying, I wouldn't want to be getting too comfortable driving in a autonomous vehicle developed by people in other countries who, let's just say, don't have a great track record. So I'm just saying, but that's just me. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below of Secretary Duffy's comments. And if you want to check out the video that I made about the Dodge K cars, you can check out the video right here. It's pretty funny because I actually do like a little rendering based off of a car that Stellantis already has ready. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. And until the next time, I'm out.